If you want to drive more e-commerce revenue without increasing your ad spend, and you want the revenue today, not in a year, it's email and CRO. That's how you do it. Reconvert customers from long ago and turn existing site traffic into revenue. The cheapest customer is the customer you already have. So if you want help with this, come to pilothouse.co, fill out the lead form, and ask to speak to me directly.
In the inbox late night, glowing screen, see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
The biggest change in websites since websites.
Landing pages are going to have a resurgence in an AI world where you can sort of let AI do what marketers used to do with landing pages manually at scale. You need a system that can understand the context of the ad somebody might have been clicking and build an appropriate matching experience on the other side of the click. Okay, this ad is the sports ad talking to the sports person. Let me construct the sports experience for you and create a unique link that you can use as the destination for that ad.
It's the world's best email and retention podcast, and I'm your host, Jordan Gordon. We are a member of the DTC network of podcasts and the philosophical home of the Pilot House email and customer retention team. If you want to make the sweet nectar of low-cost revenue a large part of your digital ecosystem, then follow us on your favorite podcast app today. This time, we're joined by Shazad Khan, who is a Black Crow co-founder. We're going to discuss a product that we're endorsing through the pod, Black Crow Storefronts, and a bunch of other stuff. So, Shazad, nice to have you on.
Hey, Jordan. Thanks for having me on. Excited to chat.
So first, just really quickly, you were just on a little bit of a trip. I wonder if I can ask if it was for business, for pleasure. What were you up to?
Yeah, I was on a family holiday with my wife and my 17-month-old daughter. So our first big family trip that we took together. We went to Spain, Italy, and London in the UK. And so my wife's an artist, and it's always been a dream of hers to go to the Venice Biennale in Italy. So we got to, I think that was the big highlight of the trip.
Amazing. Wonderful to hear. You and I had a conversation weeks ago in the background talking about this product. And I thought I'd tee it up first with almost like a little riddle. And it's a great way for us to talk about the moves you're making in the space. What is a website even going to be in 10 years when we think about how AI is changing asset production?
Yeah, so let's just talk about first how AI is changing asset production, and then we can talk about what it means for a website, right? So I think we've seen across the board, your AI is causing a proliferation of entry points into your brand environment, into your brand website, where let's talk about three different categories. Let's talk about like ad creative and social channels. Let's talk about queries, which are moving from kind of Google search into like AI answer engines like Gemini and ChatGPT, and we can talk about CRM messages. So if we look at ad creative first, ads are being either made with or by AI. The social platforms are sort of telling you targeting is the new creative. And so creative volume and velocity is exploding, where people are making a lot more pieces of creative. They're launching a lot more of them at once. They're finding winners and doubling down on them, retiring other ones, and continuously launching. So you have this flywheel going where you sort of understood that, hey, I'm going to try lots of different sales pitches and hooks and angles to see which ones Meta's algo picks up for me or TikTok's algo picks up for me. And then if you look at queries, it's like query specificity is exploding, where you're going from short keyword search terms in Google to long descriptions of what you might want in a shopping prompt, like I'm looking for running shoes for my dad who's old and his feet hurt, and so they need to be able to help him with his pain. Or you go into CRM and all the platforms like Klaviyo and Attentive are helping you write one-to-one personalized messages based on what you know about that particular consumer. And so what it means is that before you click and enter the brand environment, you're getting really tailored and personalized messages But then what happens when on the other side of the click is like it's still 2006, it's still the PDP or a collections page. And so that really specific context that engaged you or got you to click is lost. It doesn't carry through into what you see on the other side of the experience. And our take is as it's sort of diversifying and exploding, it's also a really, really rich set of signal or context for what should the person see on the other side of the click. So we work with like a hydration supplement company who will advertise to athletes, wellness people, medical personas in social media. And so you can imagine if you click the pro sports ad, you probably want to see a continuous experience focusing on the benefits for sports, for athletic performance. You probably want to see image and video assets and content that sort of continues that narrative. Whereas if you click the yoga and wellness one, you're probably more interested in that vibe. And so that contextual continuity is almost like giving the user what they want, continuing the ad all the way down to the buy button. Same idea in CRM, same idea in queries. If I'm going to type that long specific query in chat, well, then, that's information about what I expect to see when I land on the website. I expect that question about my dad's feet hurting to be answered in the lead up to like checking out on the website. And so our take is the website moves from this static thing that you sort of CRO optimized to the website is taking kind of like an understanding of your brand and an understanding of the situation the user who clicked is in based on the channel they came from and the creative or message that they interacted with. And you take that input, the channel, the message, the creative, along with the kind of brand style guidelines for how you present your brand and the image and video assets you have available. And you construct a version of the store specific to that moment and to that entry point. And what the world looks like is brands with catalogs, with the style guide, and with a lot of marketing activity, and then AI taking those inputs and constructing the sales pitch that's right for that moment and creating the website that should exist for that person in that moment is kind of what the future is going to look like.
Really exciting. First time I was 21 when I first worked on a website. So this is like for sure the vision that you have there, which we're seeing become true in different places, including with the product of yours that we're going to discuss in a moment. It's the biggest change in websites since websites, essentially.
Exactly.
And just to make sure that, to sum that up for the audience back home, so to really spell it out, it's like there's not going to be, in your opinion, a static website. There's not going to be a page.
Well, I think there might be like your brand site if you go organically to the property. You know what I mean? That might be the one way where it's like, hey, I know I want to go to warbyparker.com and I'm going to type it in. Cool. Your brand team can own how do you want to present your brand when somebody directly goes and types the URL in. But if they're entering through some sort of marketing activity or somewhere where you're trying to drive traffic through either organic or paid activity, those entry points all have diverse signal associated with them. They're sort of unique situations, unique audiences. And so historically, I think we've always kind of understood that people have tried to solve this problem with landing pages, but then it just becomes like a quantity and design problem for making all these different things. But the landing page's goal was always to say, oh, I may have engaged in some marketing activity that my generic website is not the best thing somebody should see when they enter my site because it kind of loses the continuity of what motivated me to get there. And so it's like landing pages are going to have a resurgence in an AI world, landing pages on steroids, where you can sort of let AI do what marketers used to do with landing pages manually, kind of at scale.
Yeah, understood. So that's kind of like, hey, 90% of it's dynamic, and there's this 10% that's still static. Although I've thought through this so much since we spoke, and the thing is, when you take the vision that you have to its extreme, to its completion, hey, if you've got a brand book and a style guide, and someone updates those, Okay, is someone going to go and manually update that static page?
Yeah,
No, it's
true.
going to
You're
update
right. It's
automatically,
going to
right?
change too. You're right. You're right.
So, so maybe just varying degrees, but the idea of, we should all start thinking about a world without websites and start thinking about a world with, I don't know, web spaces, I don't know even what we're going to call it,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily a site.
No, I think you're 100% right. 100% right.
Great tee up. And so, okay, you created a product. And it's a product that our team is now using. We've tested it. We're happy with it. We want to use it more. And so I brought you in to tell our audience about it and really tee it up and understand why they might want to use it for themselves at home or use it as part of their work with us.
Yeah, so I think building on that idea that these different marketing entry points, these different bits of ad creative or messages or marketing activity that you engage in carry context about what the user should see after they click, led us to say, okay, well, how do you build a product that delivers on that promise? And what we said is, well, a couple things need to be true. We're in this like AI marketing world where people are using tools like Advantage Plus in Meta and Performance Max in Google. And what are those tools like? They're sort of like, just give us ad creative and give us money and tell us your success metric, and we will deliver performance for you, right? And even increasingly now, they're like, we'll make the ad creative for you too, right? They're sort of on the mission of doing that. So it's kind of like, give us money, tell us what success looks like, and let us take care of the rest and drive sales for you. And so the marketer is seeing that change on one side of the click. So we sort of said, okay, well, if you're going to deliver on this promise, then what do you need? You need a system that can understand the context of the ad somebody might have been clicking ahead of time and autonomously or on its own build an appropriate matching experience on the other side of the click. This doesn't work if it's like a landing page design tool where it's still designers going in and picking an ad, writing their prompt and chatting and deciding what they want to do, because that's one by one manual work. And we're talking about a world where maybe you're going to be running 1,000 ad creatives at once because these platforms are just scaling the marketing volume and personalizing it more and more. And so the idea of building these yourself one by one doesn't scale, it breaks, and then the excitement of the whole thing kind of goes away. And so we set out to build a system that will connect to your different marketing platforms, read the ads that you have live ahead of time, and automatically understand, okay, this ad is the sports ad talking to the sports person. Let me construct the sports experience for you and create a unique link that you can use as the destination for that ad. And then when you launch new creative or new activities, same idea. You always have to put a destination URL in that ad or that email. You'll get a unique new link, and the AI agent will read the ad or the email campaign or whatever it is behind the scenes and say, okay, cool, I understand what this ad is talking about. I understand the product that's being featured. I'll go ahead and just construct a version of the store using the brand guidelines, et cetera, that makes sense for this, with the goal, of course, of this converting better than your classic standard experience, increasing that relevancy means increasing the conversion rate from click. And then where we're going with it is saying, hey, the AI could actually make multiple versions and test them against each other automatically, knowing similar to what you're doing in Advantage Plus, my goal is conversion above 3%, or my goal is ROAS above 2. Cool. Let AI agents keep tweaking and testing different hypotheses for what makes sense for this ad, find the version that works and automatically kind of roll it out. And so you're going to have in the future this army of agents that goes ahead and does this work for you. It studies your marketing activity, it builds all the versions of the site automatically, and it gives you links where each one of the ads goes to each one of these destinations that makes sense for that marketing message or that ad, you know?
Yes, and that is the immediate post-click experience you're discussing there, but there's actually more because it's not Black Crow pre-sale lender, it's Black Crow storefronts. So can you even talk further about what it's doing in after someone clicks on an ad?
Yeah, the other thing that we started to say to ourselves was, well, the conversion is a function of more than just the landing page. It's also the subsequent steps from landing page till you hit the buy button, right? And so in some cases, you're in a top of funnel ad environment, and maybe you want to be less transaction focused and it's more of an article format, and you're educating yourself, and there are multiple clicks on the pathway to transacting, and trying to get somebody to transact too soon is actually going to depress conversion because they're not ready to buy yet. Then there are marketing activities and messages that are super lower funnel. So retargeting ads, abandonment cart emails, repurchase, like replenishment reminders for a product you already purchased, right? In those cases, the appropriate experience is to remove clicks on the pathway to the buy button, right? And so if all you do is create the landing page, then you don't have control over, hey, how long or short should this funnel be? How many different options should I have on my pathway to getting to conversion? Should I reduce the number of variants because maybe this is a makeup brand and I might have like 25 different colors for this lip gloss, but actually for new customers, we have three best-selling colors, right? And so those kinds of choices, what should be in my cart for upsells for this particular marketing funnel, all become levers that you can't pull if all you do is a landing page. So what we did is we said, hey, we need to build micro storefronts. They need to be the landers, the PDPs, the carts, everything until you hit that checkout button to go to the payment rails and actually make the transaction, because then we're able to control all those different variables that we talked about, and we can let AI experiment with those in order to kind of do what it's tasked with doing, which is maximizing your conversion after the click or maximizing your revenue after the click. Very similar to the ad platforms where some people care about lowest cost. I just want the highest number of transactions for the lowest money spent. Some people say, I don't care about transaction volume. I want the highest revenue, or ROAS, right? We translate that to CPA and ROAS. And so similarly, you want the AI to know, okay, my goal with this ad is conversion, or my goal with this ad is revenue. Give it access to the levers that actually drive that outcome. And it's more than just what you see right upon landing. It's the call to action, it's the featured products, it's the card upsells. All these things have a huge impact on conversion.
Amazing. I'm going to pull on a thread there. So, on the source and on the destination path, often clients will come to the greater Pilot House organization, and they're selling their product, and they're actually, we say, well, look, you're selling your product to the wrong audience. Why are you selling your product to the wrong audience? Well, because because the system's easily optimized to that audience, because that audience is strong on that platform. But actually we see, no, this is the audience you need. It costs a bit more to get that audience through this advertising platform, but because of all kinds of things like share of wallet, the age and how long that person's going to be with your brand, all these other reasons, we need you we need to, this is the kicker, sell a different product than is automatically going to sell, right? So can you talk about how we can, if possible now, or if on the roadmap, constrain the tool to not only go for the easiest path, but to go for something a little bit more curated as far as what we're trying to sell?
Oh, 100%. I think we're already there, Jordan. So I'll first tell you the answer to this question from the lens of like customers and how they're using the tool, and then we can get into like the mechanics. But we see that a lot of customers are like, hey, maybe I'm experimenting with launching I have a catalog with a lot of SKUs, maybe a bunch of different product lines, right? And my ad creative strategy is going to involve some ads that are focusing on one category, some that are focusing on another. And in those subsequent funnels that you see, you kind of want to constrain the universe of options to what's relevant to that user based on the creative that they engaged with, right? And if it's too easy to go and explore other categories, et cetera, maybe going to get lost in shopping around, and you're going to depress sort of the core conversion activity that you want to facilitate or enable. And so, two things we see people doing. One is building funnels for specific categories where you really remove the distraction of other things that might be relevant to your brand and just laser in on, okay, cool. I'm looking at lip gloss and associated stuff, and we just launched something new. And you're going to see an experience where the only SKUs you see are focused on that. The only messages you see on the other side of the click are focused on making the strongest sales pitch for that offering. And then what we started to see some people do is say, hey, in the early days, and even when people launch new products or test new personas, it's common for like Shopify merchants to say, I'm going to build a bespoke lander and a couple of ads and just throw a little budget in and see what happens and see if I'm getting some signal that I can get this audience to engage and that I should actually scale out this product and add it to my catalog full time. It might not even be on my main website kind of thing. And we're seeing people do that activity as well and kind of iterate and get the answer on, hey, what should I add to my product catalog next? More generally, I can run little micro experiments where I made a version of the store where these SKUs only exist when I run a couple of ads because I'm able to just limit it to that section of the catalog, you know?
Maybe we can talk a little bit about who does what. I was talking to someone on your team when we were kind of just doing this whole thing and talking about the podcast. By the way, everybody, as usual, we are not getting paid to have this podcast episode. We actually are excited about using the product. So I asked, who usually runs the product on the brand side? And your player said, yeah, usually the media buyer. I said, who usually wants to do it? The media buyer? I said, nope, media buyer doesn't usually want to do it.
Exactly. Sure.
And just to give an example, long ago in my career, there were statisticians. I'd pull data from a database, in a previous life, and the statisticians didn't do SQL. They're like, no, we don't do SQL. Come on, no, you just send us the data, okay?
Exactly right.
We are masters of the data, and media buyers, I think, are, and I'm sympathetic to the idea that they're turning lead into gold, right? So you don't necessarily want to distract them from turning lead into gold. It's like, wait, let's just get as much lead out of the ground as we can and give it to them, and don't make them go mine. So I wonder if you can just teasing further on that. How do you see an organization getting started with your product? Who does what and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we have a pretty strong track record in the DTC space of like hyper or pretty rapid evolution of roles and responsibilities in response to, we're all beholden to these mega platforms, Meta, Google, and they make changes and it impacts our jobs and the nature of our work, right? For example, I think the creative strategist is this role that sort of emerged in the last few years as Advantage Plus rolled out, and one of the, your audience targeting as a lever inside of Meta kind of went away, and it was like we'll find the audience based on the creative. And so a lot of people working in the paid ads ecosystem had to evolve or respond to that change, maybe change their understanding of the nature of their work, right? And so I just would sort of put that backdrop on the fact that I think certainly what we're doing is driving another change in roles and responsibilities and creating the question that you're raising, right? Which is, okay, on one side, probably today you've got the people working on creative production and creative strategy. And then on the other side, you've got the media buyers, right? Who are taking those creative assets and actually going into the tool, setting up the campaign, setting up budgeting, and kind of trying to optimize the allocation of money and extract insights and deliver the actual ROAS or CPA target that you're trying to generate. And then maybe historically, conversion has sort of been the responsibility of like the site team, right? And definitely, I can appreciate that the change that we're pushing and bringing into the market, kind of brought on by the arrival of AI, is putting some of that stuff into question, right? And so I think what we're seeing is in some cases, and maybe the most forward-looking brands are sort of saying to themselves, okay, you get 3 seconds of attention before the click. You get 90 seconds of attention after the click. They're both basically the ad. And so if I've got people working on generating or creating all of this really engaging creative, why can't I use a tool like Black Crow and say the creative team's responsibility is to make corresponding experiences for each of the ads that they want to launch on the other side of the click. And now if you really want to get into the vision of it, you can sort of say, hey, I've got an integrated ad experience both before and after the click. And maybe I'm actually producing creative assets, images and video assets that I make for the purpose of what I see after the click. I've sort of expanded the creative surface or creative canvas for those individuals responsible for using creative to express the brand or to drive performance in ads, right? At the same time, then we see other folks who are like, our creative team, that's too big a change. Our creative team right now is super focused on giving us hopefully high performing ads. And then it's our job to make them work. And conversion is part of making them work. And so we're seeing some media buyers flex into, well, this tool, thanks to AI, makes it so easy to make a matching experience for each ad. And we're the ones who sort of have to put the URL in for each ad. So, okay, I can take it on. And it's kind of maybe also left a gap where a lot of the ecosystem works with agency partners who are experts in all these different things and are already offering services. And so I think we're seeing the emergence of a new value add service for kind of your trusted paid media agency partner to help drive the implementation of for your organization.
Yeah, thanks for the tee up there. I'll just say anybody who has any website contract or Shopify contract with our team just gets this product now. It's just we'll just spin it up, and we just love ecom. I've been doing. I've now hit 26 years of ecom. I've been doing this for my adult life, and I'm just so excited to use a bunch of these tools and be part of that evolution. Got a couple of other questions, if I can. Who's right for this? There are some people where it's like home run, man, I got to set this up right now. And maybe somewhere, it's not a home run. Explain who that home run is so they can just hit the phones right now.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so, we've been saying that when we look at sort of channel mix for most brands in DTC, I think it's no secret that Meta tends to be the dominant channel where people spend. Maybe Google is number two, and then you've kind of got AppLovin and TikTok as the other two that tend to be in the mix. Often TikTok maybe is more of an organic play. But setting the stage on all of that, what we've sort of said is, hey, this is an advanced optimization. Let's not pretend it isn't. Of course, like before you want to do something like this, you probably want to make sure that you're able to just run a successful ad program driving to good converting core site pages like your PDP and your collections. And so we typically say like if you're spending under 25K a month on advertising and you're a DTC brand, it's probably too early for you to consider this optimization at this stage in like the product and the market's like adoption of this capability. But as soon as you sort of cross that threshold of spending more than that amount of money each month, and which starts to become a pretty significant investment and really hit your P&L, you start to enter the place where you're like, okay, a 20% increase in conversion from my ads really, really matters to my financial metrics. And at the same time, I'm trying to build a brand. And so the experience that I offer people who engage with my brand through my marketing channels is what helps engender that affinity for the brand and that loyalty, et cetera. And so this also lets you create a better experience, which is going to create better brand equity because of this connection between what you see on one side of the click and the other. And so I think those things start to matter more and you start to maybe have the bandwidth or have already graduated from doing the basics and now have the headspace to sort of say, how do I further optimize this thing? And so that's kind of what we sort of said is if you're spending under 25K a month, we'd love to see you grow your brand a bit more before we tell you to spend time on something like this.
Yeah. Okay, well, look. Finally, the last thing on here, it's Black Crow Storefronts isn't the only thing your team is bringing to the world. I've already talked about things that you're doing for email, and I've already endorsed it actually on the site just because we've always seen it works out. But I wonder if you can just really talk about what you do for email retention, since this is the world's best email retention podcast.
Yeah, so for retention marketers out there, what we basically focused on is saying, hey, Klaviyo and Attentive and PostScript, these email SMS tools, they're really powerful and they've definitely gone a long way in making the work a retention marketer has to do easier. But there are some places where one could use AI to automate some of the core retention marketing challenges that still exist. And so we looked at it and we said, okay, retention marketing first and foremost starts with getting people to sign up for communication, right? And so we built a list growth AI that basically runs a machine learning model on your website where it predicts, hey, is this moment a good time to show somebody the opt-in modal, or are they not yet ready to opt in to communication with you? Because we all know it's kind of a jarring experience when you click an ad and before you can even interact with the website or understand what the brand is trying to sell you, you see the pop-up asking for your email or phone number. And we see like 97, 98% of people X out of that thing because they're not ready to give you their email yet. But as they navigate the site, maybe they click through a couple pages, etc., there becomes a point where, okay, you are now motivating them. An offer for in exchange for their email or phone number might make sense. But when to show that, it's so variable from one person to another. So we built an AI that just keeps running that prediction and says, okay, this person's intent to find that useful just crossed a threshold. Go ahead and trigger the opt-in modal now because they'll find it hyper relevant. And we only show it to a small subset of people, but typically we see of the people we show it to, 50, 60% of those people end up opting in. And so you're able to probably get close to doubling your opt-in rate just by letting this automation run on your website in terms of when to show it to people. So that's one. Next problem we observed was that abandonment flows on the website tend to be the highest revenue generating messages you can send, right? Somebody just did something, you remind them. We all have ADD on the internet and need those reminders. And so we observed that, hey, Klaviyo, Attentive, all these platforms, they'll get people to opt in, but because of browsers deleting cookies or cross-device and all these different scenarios, often somebody who opted in a week ago, a month ago, comes back to the site and does something like a cart abandon action, but the email SMS platform doesn't realize this is the same individual who opted in a month ago or a week ago because their cookie changed and there's no identifier that they can key off of to be like, oh, this is Jordan abandoning cart. Let me send him a cart abandonment email. And so that opportunity to send that message gets lost. And so we built identity graphs as a service for our clients, where basically this identity graph is connecting all the different identifiers that are on the website from the Klaviyo ID and your click URL to your Google Analytics ID, your Facebook ID, your Shopify cookie, your main website cookie. It also sets a persistent cookie that browsers don't delete that belongs to you, the brand owner. And as a result, it associates all those anonymous identifiers with your email and phone number. And anytime somebody performs an action like view product, like cart abandon, it looks up in our ID graph, hey, do I actually know who this person is? We just did this action. And if so, it lets Klaviyo or Attentive know this is Jordan, actually. I know you probably don't know it's Jordan, but it is Jordan. Here you go. And that way, call it 30 to 50% more abandonment messages get sent from people who should be getting them because they already opted in. This is first party only. We're not like buying data from third party exchanges and emailing people who didn't opt into your communication. It's people who want communication from you, but for whatever reason, the identity was lost.
Look, awesome. And I will close that section off by saying essentially what I said in a previous episode. If you had to stack rank two products, this one, which sends messages to people who have agreed to receive messages from your brand and they've been on the site. I mean, our research is clear. The majority of revenue from your email program are from people who've been on the site recently and who have agreed to messages from you. Should not be a surprise. If you had to stack rank that product against a product that, say, just starts emailing people who visited your site without ever giving you any permission at all, if you wanted to stack rank what you'd have on the site, this would be what you would have. This is what you would use is a product that extends your reach to people who want your messages.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the other one is going to put you in deliverability jail. You're going to see low revenue per click and spam complaints. It's short-term greedy and it's long-term really detrimental to your brand.
Absolutely. The number of times we've had to stop everything because some client came and was using one of these other products. And it's like, oh my God, we got to stop everything and go and fix this system that's been totally destroyed by this product we recommended the client didn't use anyway. That's a high number. And I've never, ever had to stop everything to fix the email growth pack, what's the product called?
Yeah. Email SMS growth pack. That's great. Yeah.
Never had to drop everything to fix that. Hey, it's been great having you in the podcast, and I hope to talk to you again sometime, maybe when you got a new product to tell the world about.
Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, this is awesome. Really enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
In the inbox late night, glowing screens see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
Hey, entrepreneurs and spammers. Remember, you can't scale without email, and the cheapest customer to acquire is the customer you already have. So please subscribe to the world's best email and retention podcast and learn how to make low-cost revenue a big part of your digital ecosystem.